This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboys get this win. I don't know, Jack. It's a big decision.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying space.
Pittsburgh at Buffalo.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought I was right. So anyway,
Yeah, Mac, you're really interested in these playoffs.
so
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning. You're listening to the Mac and Jack Sports Show on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the Wednesday Mac and Jack Sports Show. We haven't been on for a while. Not our fault. The internet, at my end anyway, our internet company, they've been down for the last 4 or 5 days. So me and Jack are back at you right now, ready to talk about sports and what's going on out there. Good morning, Jack. Good morning to everyone out there. Let's see. Banner, boom. So Jack doesn't want to talk this morning, which will make it a very quick show.
I'm waiting, Mac, to get into it. I talked to you before the show, just because I'm not saying good morning for the show. I said good morning before the show. I don't have to put on an act in front of the people and say good morning, Mac, again. How many good mornings do you want?
They don't know that, Jack. They don't know what we do before the show.
You mean to tell me the viewing public thinks I just came on this second? This second, when they came on, I came on at the same time. Mac, I'm ready to go before the show. I'm here. You see me. You talked to me beforehand. I said good morning, Mac, when I first saw you this morning.
They don't realize this, Jack. They think that, we just got together and threw the show on. They have no idea what we do before the show. All the details, all the insight, the great insight we give each other just before we go on. So anyway, since even if Jack doesn't want to say good morning to you all, I'm saying good morning to you all. So
good morning to everyone out there.
There you go,
okay.
Jack. There you go. Now they feel better. So, of course, the biggest stories right now are the playoffs, the NBA playoffs. The draft will be tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about that. But the playoffs start us off, and Phoenix, the Suns, Jack, might be in trouble after losing their second game. Listen, Durant is good. He's still getting his. He doesn't have the team surrounding. It's another position he finds himself in, going to another team, trying to get to the championship. He hasn't been able to do it. He couldn't do it in Brooklyn, and he can't. And it looks like he's not going to be able to do it today in this series. Right now, you got Colbert, you got Edwards.
Edwards, yeah,
right. And they won their last game 105-93.
Yeah,
Clearly, Minnesota has the advantage on the boards and the inside game with the two big guys there. And for Phoenix to win just a game, they're going to have to get a little physical, Jack, or they're not going to be able to win one.
Mac, they're not interested in winning a game. Anything short of Phoenix winning the series, the year's been a failure. I mean, you're looking for the Suns to save face. They've got to do a lot more than that. They're down 2-0. The only shining light is they're going back to Phoenix now. They badly need to win both games there. If they could win both games there, who knows how the series could conceivably turn. But this is it. The light's now gone on for Kevin Durant. I mean, Phoenix got him to win a championship. The chemistry really's never been fully there with Devin Booker. It kind of reminds of when Durant was with OKC, him and Russell Westbrook, two stars. The chemistry, was never quite there. It looked like they got to one finals with OKC at least. But with this Phoenix team, with the big three, Durant, Booker, Bradley, Beal, they're just not getting it done. Just one comment on Durant. After he left OKC, when he was with Brooklyn, they may have won a championship there if they didn't have injuries. Kyrie Irving and James Harden were out come playoff time against the Bucks. He more or less had to do it himself, and he nearly did pull it off. I wouldn't blame Durant that he hasn't won another championship outside of the two he won at Golden State when he was Finals MVP.
Yeah. Dallas evens the series at 1-1 with a 96-93 win. Luka and Kyrie.
Over the LA Clippers.
62% of the points. Luka with a double-double, 33 points, 13 rebounds. Kyrie with 31. Harden gets 28 in a loss. Listen, Luka finally became Luka. He got emotional. He got upset. He was taking charge out there. And for Dallas to have a shot, Luka's got to be that way every game, Jack, not just once in a while. Because some people pick Dallas to go to the NBA West Finals. Now, to me, Dallas never had a shot at the NBA West Finals. The teams there are just too good, and Dallas doesn't have the team. They don't have that third scorer. So, to me, whoever's saying this doesn't know a lot about basketball. You've got to have at least three good players on the court, and you got to have a good team, good defense. Dallas isn't that great a defense, Jack.
Well, Luka showed up yesterday, and he did play defense. I mean, credit to him for that. But Luka's going to have to be at his best game in, game out. I mean, Dallas has a talented team, then Enigma. They kind of tease us. We look at their 1-2, Luka and Kyrie, and then we look at the rest of their roster, which really isn't bad. And we think, can they actually make a run for the NBA Finals? But there's something lacking there. There's something missing there. And Jason Kidd really hasn't been able to bring the team together to really put in superior, defensive efforts night in and night out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we know how talented Kyrie is. We know how talented Luka is. Kyrie is not going to play defense for you. I still think they need that third scorer. They need somebody else, or maybe a point guard that can get the ball distributed evenly to the rest of the team. Anyway, I check.
It's ironic they let Jalen Brunson get away when they had a chance to sign him. Imagine they held on to Jalen Brunson. But then again, if Jalen Brunson was still with Dallas, he might not be as good as he is now, because with the Knicks, he was allowed to become the man, take over, play his game. If he was still with Dallas, he would have had to defer to Luka and Kyrie to an extent as well.
Indy ties the series at 1 apiece, a 125-108 victory over the Bucks without Giannis. Sayoka with 30 points for the second game in a row. One of the stars that kind of slips under the radar. Listen, I don't think the Bucks may not even get out of this series, Jack. If they do, they're going to get beat in the second series for sure, especially without Giannis. This is a team
Giannis might be back.
Right.
We don't know when Giannis is going to be back. But Damian Lillard had a real good game again yesterday, but it's not enough. You look at the Bucks roster. If you're going to rely on someone like Patrick Beverley, PJ Tucker, players like that a little long in the tooth, you're going to have some problems.
There's no doubt about that. And, Indianapolis, a very young, exciting team. I don't think they go to the Eastern Conference Finals, but it's a step, right? I mean, if they get by the Bucks, I think it's a win for them.
Well, even if they don't get by the Bucks, they've taken a step forward this year. They're a young team that plays with a lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah, I agree. The Knicks are up 2-0 going to Philadelphia with a 104-101. They scored 8 points in 27 seconds. A lot of hustle on that team, led by the center Hartenstein, who not only had a block, on one of the easy layups that was going on. He goes up between three guys, grabs a rebound, is on the floor, gets the ball back outside so that the Knicks can win the game. Right now, the 76ers, well, they have filed a grievance against the officiating crew. They wanted to call a timeout. They didn't get the timeout they wanted. Of course, at that time, I think Maxey lost the ball, so it wouldn't have helped. And Embiid, of course, was in the locker room. His head's down. He's complaining about the fouls, the 2 fouls on Maxey, where he was grabbed. He was kind of knocked down, and he was trying to call a timeout. But no matter what.
Embiid is right. Maxey was beaten up by the Knicks. He was fouled. I mean, the Sixers didn't get the benefit of the calls. The Sixers have every right to be annoyed over what transpired. I don't know, were the officials a little intimidated because it was Madison Square Garden, big crowd, and they just missed the call. Sometimes officials see a foul, they see a violation, and you freeze because they have to make a split-second call, Mac. It's not like football. How many times in football can we see at the end of the play, the officials take about maybe 3 seconds and then they throw a flag? You know, they're able to digest the moment before coming to a decision. But in basketball, it has to be a split call. You can't wait a couple of seconds while play is resuming and then blow a whistle. Embiid, too, he's pretty beaten up. He's hobbling up and down the court. After the game, he boldly said, "We're the better team. We're going to find a way to win." Now, that's gutsy to say, "We're the better team." He laid it out there. And I wouldn't count the 76ers out fully, Matt. I don't think they're done because I think it's going to be hard for the Knicks to win one of these next 2 games in Philadelphia. I'm not saying that they won't. It's going to be hard. They have to actually win a game out of the next 2. And that crowd in Philly is really going to get behind the Sixers. The Sixers are going to be psyched. With a 2-0 lead, maybe the Knicks relax a little in game 3. They lose that, then maybe lose a tight game in game 4. And now it's better. Now, you know, the series is shortened and anything could happen.
Well, if there was another coach, I'd agree with you. Thibodeau's not going to let them relax, Jack, at all. He's not that type of coach. One thing I got to say about Embiid, if you're the better team, prove it. That's all you got to do. You don't have to say anything. Let's see if you're the better team.
Well, we'll see whether they can prove it or not.
All this year, the Knicks they've won 4 out of 5 games, and that's when they were hurt, Jack. They were winning these games. I mean, the Knicks have the bench that most teams dream of. Next to the Celtics, they have the best bench, I think, in the East. And any one of those 10 players can come off the bench, give you instant offense, instant defense. They've been playing so much as a group together. And when the subs come in, it's not a big deal to them. There's not that much pressure on them. They've been doing it all year. And I think Philly wins the next game. I think the Knicks beat them the game after that. And I still say the Knicks are going to win this game, win this series in 6, Jack. I predicted in the beginning. I still hold to that prediction. I think the 76ers, another time that they get knocked out of the playoffs. And I don't know what they're going to do after that. I don't know what they do as a team if they do get knocked out in the first round this year. I'd be very surprised if that same team comes back next year. They have got to get a bench. Pags has said it. I'm saying it. They need a bench to win the NBA championship. They don't have that.
It's really hard because you need chips to make additions, good additions. And the Sixers don't really have the chips. I mean, who's really tradable to an extent? Tobias Harris? I mean, but how much is he going to get in return in reality?
Right.
Okay. And Maxey, isn't going anywhere. Embiid isn't going anywhere. They don't really have to trade chips. I mean, to maneuver. Like the Knicks were able to work out a deal for Barrett and quickly to improve their chemistry. They kind of had the chips there. The Sixers, Tobias Harris, that's about it. He could be a veteran presence, on a contending team. And maybe they give up like a couple of draft choices for him. I don't think he get 2 number 1s, but maybe 1 number 1 and a number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, Brunson hasn't had a good game yet. I mean, he's only averaging about 20 points. It's not the Brunson that was in the regular season. and the other players have just picked them up. And that's what good teams do. You don't have to have your superstar to shine every game to win. Right now, the Knicks don't need Brunson to shine. They just need him.
Let's see, Mac. There's game 3 coming up. Let's see what transpires. If the Sixers blow the Knicks out, the momentum of the series kind of changes. The Knicks are going to feel a lot of pressure in game 4.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And again, I think they got the right coach to handle that. As far as complaining about the refs, listen, don't put yourself in a position to lose by a call. Keith Angle says it. I say it. You had the whole game. You don't blame the refs if you got 1 minute left and all of a sudden, the Knicks are right back into it. You got to stop them. And they couldn't stop them, Jack. And to me, it's that simple. If you're going to cry about the refs, then you put yourself in a position to cry about the refs. Play better basketball.
You have it right if you're calling a timeout and you're frantically trying to contact the officials and they don't give you the timeout that you're entitled to. You certainly have a right to complain about it, Matt.
Yeah, you complain all you want, Jack. I'm saying.
And for the protest, what I don't understand, you said they're putting in some type of protest to the league. A grievance. What do they expect to accomplish with a grievance? Obviously, it would never get overturned. Can you imagine the league says, okay, we're upholding the grievance. We're going to continue playing from that point, and we're taking the W away from the Knicks and playing to that point. That's never going to happen. These grievances are filed to put pressure on the officials in the league for the next time.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so maybe you'll get the benefit of the calls down the road.
I agree. The Lakers are down 2-0. Another LeBron James crying about the officiating, a foul that was not overturned by the review ref. He was the player. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. I don't remember right now. Was going
D'Angelo Russell, I think it was.
Yes.
It was an obvious foul, Mac. LeBron is completely right. What LeBron was saying, why have replay if you're not going to review an obvious foul like that? And it was very obvious. He was hit, his arm. It wasn't even close, yet it's not even being reviewed. So why have replay? It was less a complaint by LeBron about the call itself. But since you have replay, that you can review a foul that seemed pretty flagrant, and you're not using the replay, I mean, why have it?
Jack, why complain? It's not going to do any. I mean, listen. All right, it was a foul. I'll agree with you. I saw the highlight. But what does it matter? Again, you're putting yourself in a position for a call that can or may not go your way. It's the playoffs. They're going to let them play to a point. They're not going to listen. They're not going to call all these little tic-tac fouls or even hard fouls during the game in the playoffs, Jack. It's not going to happen. And you
make me laugh, Mac. You make me laugh. Like in baseball, for example, the umpire Angel Hernandez, he's calling a strike on a pitch that's 1 foot off the plate. And you would tell the batter, why put yourself in a position where the umpire could call strike 3? Yeah, I agree with you if it's very close. Why put yourself in that position and take a chance? But when it's obvious, you've been flagrantly fouled, you're not putting yourself in any position where what could he do differently? The game's going to be close. They're going to be very close games. You deserve the benefit of a call when it's obvious. You have a right to complain. It's not like it could go either way.
Well, if it was obvious, why didn't they call it, Jack?
Because it was lousy officiating. Why didn't they use the replay? What is the sense behind it?
Jack, I'm against the replay league-wise. I don't think there should be a replay.
You don't think there should be any replays?
It slows the game down. You hire these officials to make the calls. If they can't make the calls, get a new official in there. I think it slows the game down, makes it uninteresting, boring. Because we're worried about who fouled who or who got a penalty. Let it be like what was so wrong with the way it was?
Street ball, Mac.
Yeah.
Well, I have a better idea, Mac. Let the players make the calls, like a gentleman agreement, like they do in the past.
I thought
Foul,
about
not foul.
listen, we all think reffing and umping is easy, right? We all sit back and we sit in our chairs and we look at the review, slow motion, and say, come on, how do you miss that? The game is fast. Basketball is a fast game. And these officials are doing the best they can. I don't think intentionally they're trying to side with one team or another, because they definitely would get in trouble for that. So what do you want from the referee? What do you want him to do? Yeah, I mean, he's doing the best he can, Jack. They're all doing the best they can. They're professional.
But of all the major sports, basketball, of all sports, I think basketball officiating is the hardest.
I agree.
I mean, let's think of all the different sports, because the game is so quick. Fouls are so subjective sometimes. You have to make a real split-second call. Very difficult.
I understand LeBron's frustrated, right? I mean, they haven't beaten Phoenix since, since time began. I know it's not. Yes, they haven't beat Denver in a long time. They've been shut out. So he's got to be
big lead. They had a big lead. That's what makes it frustrating.
And listen, I mean, it's not LeBron's fault. It's not the Lakers' fault. They played a good game. They could have easily won that game.
It's the Lakers' fault. They blew the lead. They somehow didn't hold on to it, man.
Yeah, well, there's runs in basketball, Jack. You know that. It happens all the time. Every team goes on a run. I don't care how, for the most part. I don't care who the team is.
You know what makes it frustrating? They're down 2-0 now, the Lakers, to the Nuggets. And even though they have to focus on what is, you can't help as an athlete to enter in your mind of what could have been. It could have been one game apiece. They're going back to LA thinking we can win this series. Even if we split in LA, even if they get a split on our home court, we'll go back to Denver 2-2. It's best 2 out of 3. We'll take it from there. Now they're down 2-0. They got to beat the defending champions, who have arguably the best player in the NBA in Jokic. They got to beat them 4 out of 5. And this is a team that has their number. Can they do it? Well, let's put it this way, okay? If anyone believes they can do it, maybe it's LeBron, because he was with that Cleveland Cavalier team that was down 3-1 against a Golden State Warrior team that had won 73 games, set an NBA record for most games won. And they had to win 3 in a row, and 2 of them had to be at Golden State, and they pulled it off. Yeah. So maybe there's that belief that they maybe can do it. But like we said with the Sixers and Knicks a while ago, Game 3 is pivotal for the Lakers. If they want to get back in the series, have any chance, they have to win Game 3. If they lose Game 3, are they even going to show up for Game 4? Because they're going to know it's all over. Even if they win a game, they're not winning 4 in a row. There's absolutely no way.
And they got to do that against a team they haven't beaten in a couple of years. So
exactly.
That's going to be a little rough. Hey, LeBron had a great game. I mean, he stood out. Other players have got to, including Anthony Davis,
Anthony Davis has played well in the team.
Yes, he has. But he's got to play better. They just got to play. They got to play one shot better, Jack. Jamal Murray think that with a buzzer beater. I mean, easily the best playoff game so far this year. They got to be that. They got to be one shot better than.
People are too critical. Anthony Davis was criticized because he was left off the all NBA defensive teams. And he said he doesn't know what they're looking at because he's one of the best defenders, in his opinion, in the NBA. Pretty good, Anthony Davis. You certainly can't knock him. I see his point. But Jamal Murray hits that shot over Anthony Davis at the end of the game. And Anthony Davis comes under all this criticism because of the remark of one basket. And I don't want to hear about it. One basket you play over and over again and try to diminish, another player's ability.
Yeah, definitely. Cleveland may have the easiest matchup in the East playoffs, Jack. Yeah. Their bigs are dominating the boards. And, Orlando isn't hitting the outside shots right now, which is the only chance that they really have. The two big guys are dominating the boards in this one. Mobley and Allen playing great. Mitchell, leading scorer. They got a nice little team there, Jack. I don't know how far they're going to playoffs, but let me tell you, this is an overused phrase, but I'll use it here. Nobody's going to want to play Cleveland in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, Cleveland's not an easy out, that's for sure. They're up 2-0 against Orlando. Orlando's kind of playing with house money here. Like we said about the Pacers before, that it's been a good year for the Pacers no matter what. But there's a difference between the Pacers and the Bucks. The Pacers seem to be a young team who's playing without any fear. They don't look at themselves as playing with house money. They're having so much fun, the Pacers. It looks like they're out there. It looks like even if they weren't getting paid, they would be taking the plane and playing because they seem to love the game of basketball. Orlando has had a good year no matter what. Young team, they've taken the next step. They have a number of good young players. I love Jalen Suggs on their team. They can bow out in 4 games even if it happens. And it's been a good year for the Orlando Magic because they took the next step.
I was going to ask you think this might be a sweep?
I think so. I think going back to Orlando, I think so. I think there's a good chance maybe Orlando grabs a game before it's over.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Orlando's not coming back.
No, that's for sure. Switch to the MLB news. Aaron Boone gets thrown out of the game because the umpire, Hunter Wendelstedt, heard some complaining. The complaining was actually a fan who was ridiculing him a little bit on his calls. He knew it came from around the Yankee dugout. The fan was sitting right above the dugout. He couldn't throw out a fan to begin with. And he didn't want to throw out a player. So he says, the heck with it. I'll throw out Aaron Boone. Mainly that's because of his reputation, Jack. That's why he got thrown out.
He thought it was Boone. He had a short fuse with Boone. He told Boone prior to that, you say one more word and you're gone. Meaning one more. So Boone didn't say a word. Boone shut his mouth, wasn't even looking at the umpire. A fan behind the dugout yells something out. Wendelstedt thinks it's Boone and tosses him. And then Boone runs out there and starts frantically complaining, and the bench is pointing to the fan. And Wendelstedt doesn't check with the other umpires. Was it a fan or what? And could an umpire have a fan removed? That's a great question. No one's ever asked. If the fan isn't yelling anything personal, just yelling at the umpire, what a lousy call to get with it. And if the fan is keeping it on the field, basically, criticizing the umpire's performance, can the umpire have him removed? I don't think so. I don't think that should be allowed if that's the case. But if you're saying something personal about the umpire, his family, anything, how he looks, I think you can. You should be able to have the fan removed under that circumstance. Because certain lines can't get crossed, Mac. It's got to be kept to the game.
You know the reason why the umpire turns his back to the field instead of the fans when he sweeps off the home plate, right?
No.
Well, this goes back since, baseball began, before there were high fences around the thing. They would throw things at the umpire if he bent over and swept off the home plate, when it bent over towards the fans. So they adjusted, they've turned around. So at least they could see something being thrown at them from the stands and move out of the way. And that's why they sweep off home plate, facing the fans. So that's the story behind that.
So you're saying the fans should be able to get personal with the umpire?
Yeah,
they should be able to say things about his family. They should be able to say things about his weight. They should be able to harass him personally. Yeah. And right, sure. And you believe pitchers should be allowed to throw at batters' heads, if a batter got a hit off the right.
They can brush him back. They can brush him back.
Old-fashioned baseball, you should be able to
brush him back. They own the home plate as much as the batter does. They can brush him back if they want. listen, the umpires cannot remove fans. That's not one of the things they can do. It wouldn't look good for Major League Baseball. It wouldn't look good for the umpire saying he can't handle somebody heckling him.
Well, the fans should be able to throw things on the field, Mac, is the way you feel. So, no, you just said with throwing stuff, you want to go back to the way things were.
Did I say
I mean,
that?
I should be able to toss some stuff on now and then.
Did I say that?
As long as you're not going to injure the player.
The umpire looks towards the fans when he sweeps the play in case somebody throws something at him so he can move out of the way. That's what I said. So, I know you're getting older.
The umpire should be watching their back at all times.
Of course,
when they're out there.
Of course, you've seen how they react in Little League Baseball. They're meeting the umpires in the parking lot to fight these days. I mean, people are totally out of control. So, this is just a thing. It's just crazy, Jack. It's crazy. So anyway, Atlanta's young shortstop superstar Ronald Acuna Jr. breaks the stolen base record at 190, which isn't that many. I think Ricky Anderson by himself had over 300. And he's still young, Jack. He's going to keep piling up the stolen bases. True five-tool player. He's excited about playing the game. Can hit for power. A lot of speed. So Atlanta's got a good one there. As long as he don't get hurt.
Well, they signed him long term. When he was very young, they signed him to like a 10-year deal.
Yeah.
When he was still, before he was eligible for arbitration. Yeah. He got a little money up front, a lot more than he normally would have gotten. But they had faith in him long term, like the Yankees should have been doing with Anthony Volpe right from the very beginning. Sign him basically to a decade-long deal. If you have faith in the guy, if you're really affirm that he's going to be that good, and teams are doing that. Atlanta's not the only one, and that he's not the only player they did it with. Colorado, Boston, etc. have done it with players. But the Yankees don't quite have that vision. They kind of want to wait, and they're paying more money out because of that. When they have to later pay more money, it gives them a little less flexibility to sign other players.
So you disagree with Keith Angle, who thinks they should wait and see? I mean, Volpe's still under contract for a year or so. They've got to see if he gets hurt, whatever. I mean, the Yankees have for some reason are cursed with injuries there. They sign him for a long-term contract and he's hurt.
You're going to have to sign him for a lot more money later on. You're always going to be able to sign him, but you're going to have to sign him for a lot more money. You can sign him a player at a good price early on. If you really believe that's your guy, the chances are you could make mistakes too. Because take the case of Aaron Hicks, who's struggling with the Angels now, by the way. Yeah. He's hitting something like $150 or so. But Aaron Hicks, Brian Cashman loved Aaron Hicks, who he got from the Twins. Thought he was really going to be outstanding. And Aaron Hicks was somewhat established, was coming off kind of a good year. So Brian Cashman gave him a 7-year deal, $10 million a year. Not outrageous money. At the time, it could have gone either way. Hicks could have even held out for a little more because he was a player quality then. But they took a chance, and obviously that backfired. Certain deals backfired, but I'm talking of not an Aaron Hicks type. I'm talking about a young, phenomenal talent you have, like an Anthony Volpe. Okay, and and even you take Jackson Holliday with the Orioles, their young phenom who they just called up. Do you believe in him? Do you think he's going to be a star? Are you confident in that? If you are, sign him to a big deal now. Sign him for 10, 12 years at some big money. The Mariners did that with Julio Rodriguez. They signed him to a really good deal that'll pay Rodriguez something like $17 million a year. And Rodriguez is going to be closer to a $40 million a year type player when all is said and done, But the thing about it is that the Mariners have a star in Julio Rodriguez for years and years. Had they waited until he was 2-3 years away from free agency, they're either going to have to pay astronomical money so he doesn't get to free agency, or they're going to wind up losing him in free agency at a certain point. But you have to be ahead of the curve. And as much as I like Brian Cashman, as good a GM as I think he is, and I've always been supportive of him, that's his one weakness. He doesn't get ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think there's a lot of weaknesses in Brian Cashman's game, but that's one of them for sure. And the Dodgers shut out the Mets 10-0 the last game they played each other. The Mets did win 2 out of 3.
Mets have lost 3 straight, after that. They're a little over 500, the Mets, but the promising start, the chemistry to this. The Mets an enigma. I have no idea how they're going to do this year when all is said and done. No idea at all.
The Boston takes 2 out of 3 from Pittsburgh. Boston may raise some cane, Jack. Maybe they finish third this year. I mean, they have
maybe they finish last too, Mac.
Possible. It's possible. I doubt that though, but it's possible.
Well, look at the AL East. Who are they going to beat out? Are they going to beat out Baltimore?
No.
Are they going to beat out the Yankees?
I don't think so.
Are they going to beat out Toronto?
That I'm not sure.
Are they going to beat out Tampa Bay, who's made the playoffs the last 5 years, the Rays? You could easily say, oh, yeah, they'll beat the Rays. No, 5 years in a row, the Rays have made the playoffs.
They'll beat out Tampa this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So, 3 or 4, I feel comfortable putting Boston.
Perhaps.
Mike Trout led off. First time in years, Jack. He was lead off hitter. He steps up, first pitch, hits a home run. So,
I like Mike Trout. I like his character.
Yeah.
He's a guy, a high character. He lives in New Jersey. That's where he lives in the off season. That's where he grew up. That's where he has his home. So if you're Mike Trout and you're on a losing team like the Angels and you're living far away from home, California is a beautiful place to live in the LA area. He could easily speak to the Angels and say, can you work out a deal for me so I could play for the Phillies or the Yankees? Be close to home year round. Yet he wants to stay with the Angels, and the Angels aren't winners. The Angels have been losers. He wants to get it right with the Angels because that's his team. You kind of wonder with Mike Trout, the patience fact that, Artie Moreno, the owner of the Angels, did make some moves in the past, made a lot of high-profile signings, but it hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
And, Mike Trout, they just haven't been winning at all.
You think the closer he gets to the end of his career, maybe he makes the move? Maybe he goes to another team that has a shot at winning a World Series?
Well, the Angels already said they would consider trade for him only if he requested it. If he requested it, they would look into it, and he hasn't requested it. He says he doesn't want to get traded. And the Angels, out of respect to Mike Trout, they don't seem to be pushing the issue at all. Rather than get young players, let's leave it alone. What would be wrong with him being a franchise player who's his whole career with one team, an iconic player? What was always an interesting question to me, Mac? We look at these iconic players. I'll give you an example. Mike Trout has been compared to Mickey Mantle, for example.
Right.
Fair comparison. If the Yankees could have won one more World Series during the Mantle years without Mantle on the team, trading him away, what would you rather have? Mickey Mantle as a career Yankee or that one more World Series to add on to the Yankees World Series?
I mean, why do you have to pick one or the other? Why can't Mickey Mantle not be playing well? Maybe he sits on the bench.
No, I said if this is all hypothetical, Mac. It's not a serious scenario. I mean, it's a make-believe scenario. I'll give you, like I say to you, if the Yankees could have 3 more World Series titles in the 1920s and early 1930s, but it would have to be as a result of them trading Babe Ruth. for a bunch of other players who are not iconic at all. Not iconic. You take the extra 3 World Series or keep Babe on the Yankees, because once Babe leaves the Yankees, he's no longer the iconic Yankee that he is today.
Jack, that's not even a comparison. Babe Ruth was not only better than Mantle, but he was
You're
he was
avoiding this, Mac. You're
he-
worse
I
than a
know
politician.
it's not
the
a,
way
it's
you're
not
avoiding
it's not a fair question. But you can't compare Babe
It's
Ruth. and Mickey
hypothetical.
Mantle.
You don't have to
I know it's
necessarily answer.
hypothetical.
At least
I
admit you
know it's
understand this.
hypothetical. You're asking me to give you an answer on a hypothetical situation about Babe Ruth, the greatest, maybe the greatest baseball player of all time. Good morning, Rick. By the way, good to have you with us today. You know, that's like me asking you. Suppose Muhammad Ali, would you rather him go for the title or let somebody else do it? You know, it just makes no sense. No, listen, that you're talking about an iconic boxer. You're not talking about just a boxer.
Mac, I don't even get what it. Wait. You say Muhammad Ali go for the title or let someone else? Why would you not
what are we
try to
talking
become
about?
champion and tell someone else to go for it instead of him? That
Well, maybe he has somebody in the stable he likes, a guy who he spars with. I don't know, Jack. I think it's a ridiculous question.
Well, no, I have a little better one actually with the Olympics coming up.
All right, wait. Let's push on.
I know you hate the Olympics, Mac.
Let's
so this
no,
will
but
probably
let's
never come up
push
again.
on. Let's push on so we can get through the show. Zach Wilson,
Mac,
Ian.
you're totally inflexible. I gotta let the viewers know one thing about you, Mac, out there. And I gotta give you a ton of credit for this. You prepare hard for this show. You
Yes.
do the majority of the preparation. You have a game plan for the show. I think it's because when you coached when you were younger. So you have a game plan.
Yes.
But I never would have wanted to play for you, Mac, if I was a player, because you'll never deviate from the game plan. You're so inflexible on the game plan. You'll set up 6 plays in advance, and even though the defense or the offense is lined up a different way, you'll insist on running those plays. You'll get mad at any audibles being called.
What was that a compliment?
It kind of.
Okay, thank you. I'll take it as a compliment. Zach Wilson is in Denver, Jack, traded by the Jets. Finally, it looked like that he might just be released. Denver trades for him. He'll be fighting for the starting position versus Stidman. I think this is going to be crazy. I think Zach Wilson starts for Denver this year. I also think Sean Payton's got his hands full with both those quarterbacks. So Denver's got his quarterback, I guess, for this year, Jack.
Well, let's see, because Denver goes number 12 in the draft. Will they draft the quarterback, in the first round, or will someone like Bo Nix fall to them in the second round? So let's wait and see. It's unresolved, as far as that goes. The Jet deal with Denver was this, basically. They flip-flopped draft picks. The Jets gave their 7th round selection to Denver for Denver's 6th round selection. Marginally better pick for the Jets. And Denver is splitting Zach Wilson's salary down the middle. I think it's like $5.5 million approximately. So they're splitting that down the middle. It's about as good a deal as the Jets could have gotten at the moment. But compare that to what New England got for Mac Jones. Mac Jones and Zach Wilson were similar at the end of the year. Mac Jones was a disaster at the end of the year from Patriots. He was awful, yet Jacksonville gave a 6th round draft choice, with nothing in return just to get Mac Jones.
Yeah.
So that was a clean deal with that, and the Jets didn't even quite do that good. Now, as far as Zach Wilson starting at Denver, there's a little bit of a storyline here, Mac, that people forget. Remember in the preseason last year, Sean Payton said some things about the Jet coaching staff.
Yes.
And there was a bit of a feud, and when the Jets played at Denver and won the game, it was an emotional thing. Can you imagine Zach Wilson thrives in Denver, and turns into a real quality NFL quarterback under Sean Payton, who's now going to get the blame? The Jet coaching staff for not developing him. Because if he can play well at Denver, don't tell me it had anything to do with playing in the New York area, because I don't think it had a thing to do with that, because they were treating Zach Wilson with kid gloves for a while. So let's see how Zach Wilson plays at Denver, because it would reflect very poorly on the Jet coaching staff, as I just said. And that's why teams are reluctant to get rid of highly drafted players, because they are always scared if they go elsewhere and do really well, it really comes back to bite them.
In other NFL news, Jack, the Kansas City Chiefs extended the president, the GM. Andy Reid gets the biggest contract in the NFL for a coach, 5 years, $100 million. So he's going to be there. If he stays for the whole contract, he's going to be there for quite a lot longer than what people thought. A lot of people thought that he might even retire. That's not happening.
They're going to undergo a little bit of a change, Mac, because I got the feeling Travis Kelce is going to play one more year to try to repeat, then he'll be gone. Mahomes is still the cornerstone player. He's young. And Andy Reid's, he's very successful at Philadelphia. So we know what a good coach like Andy Reid is. And maybe this Chief team is going to continue on this run that they've been on, the way New England did for a couple of decades. I mean, we don't know. But the Chiefs rated low, I got to point out, in their facility. They're like player surveys and all, and league surveys, and they rated really low in that area, which surprises me. So maybe they'll improve things.
Quite possible. Atlanta, Jack, is going to get punished. I don't care for tampering with Kirk Cousins before the trade deadline, which could lead to some draft choice penalties here. I don't know if this is going to happen before tomorrow. I don't think they have enough time. I'm not sure. So if they do, if it does happen for tomorrow, it could affect the Falcons this year. There is evidence that Atlanta did tamper with Kirk Cousins before the trade deadline. There is conversation with the phone call from the GM, the tight end over there representing supposedly the front office, trying to get him over there. And even Kirk Cousins, with press conference that he talked to the GM, and that was before the trade deadline. Interesting to see if that affects this draft or its next draft.
Well, I don't think it would affect this draft. I'm going to tell you why, Mac, because I think the league is savvy. They're going to wait till next year, because the Falcons go number 8 overall in the draft. If you're going to take away your first rounder and you take away the 8th overall pick, that stings. If the Falcons improve, they're going to be picking low in the draft next year. So I could see the league concluding the investigation in June and saying the Falcons dock their number 1 draft choice next year, which might be in the number 17, 18 range, whatever. But it's not likely to be as high as number 8 next year. But it seems like the league is going to take some type of action, because if they don't, what's going to stop other teams from doing it? The question is this: does the team have knowledge of what's being done? Teams have to be told, and maybe players have to be told, you're not allowed to recruit someone until they're actually a free agent. If we find out you talk to them, you could get suspended a game or so, or you could get fined.
Yeah.
Now
I mean,
they're on the contract.
The Eagles, to a lesser extent, are being charged with this too. That was just players talking to players. It happens all the time. I don't know.
Then the players have to be held accountable. If the team had nothing to do with it, I understand you can't stop a player from talking to another player. You could try to discourage them, but they might be talking anyway. But if you obviously try to recruit someone, okay. Listen, Mac, I could tell you to go join me at another network, but the person in charge that network, as long as they're not talking to you, as long as they're not communicating that to me, nothing could really be done about it. It's just guys talking, oh, I'd love to have you on my team. And that doesn't have much of an effect because the guy who is supposed to switch teams doesn't know what his contract is going to be. He hasn't talked to any of the bosses of the other team. But once a player says to another player, hey, I talked to the GM. He wants to know will you come here. He wants you badly here. Now you have a problem.
Agreed. Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, retiring after 15 years.
Wasn't he retired, Mac? He hasn't been playing?
Officially retired.
Oh, who cares? He's been retired.
Who cares? Who cares?
He's been retired. No one knew. He wasn't
15
playing.
years, Jack. 15 years in the NFL, people care. All right. So anyway, he officially retires after 15 years. Mainly played with the Falcons. Did go to a Super Bowl. Got beat by New England in a big comeback in the second half of that Super Bowl game. Jack, he's no Hall of Famer. That's for sure. There's no way he gets in the Hall of Fame.
Had they won that Super Bowl game, he would get in the Hall of Fame, I believe.
Maybe.
Because he had a long career with the Falcons and winning a Super Bowl. Not winning a Super Bowl, being there. To me, he's not a Hall of Famer. No. But he comes under the category of not being that far away from a Hall of Famer. I can't say, oh, he's definitely not a Hall of Famer. I just can't say that, Mac. If I can see a case for him getting into the Hall of Fame, even though I wouldn't vote for him, but I would sit down and listen to the argument and give people a chance to convince me if they could.
There's no way. Not without winning a Super Bowl.
You won't even listen to them. You won't even sit down. If they want to talk to you and make a case for Matt Ryan to be a Hall of Famer, Mac, you're saying you wouldn't even consider listening.
Not for Matt.
You wouldn't even have an open mind.
No, not at all. I mean, it's plain as the nose on their face. Matt Ryan is definitely not a Hall of Famer. Otherwise, just let everybody in, Jack. Just let everybody come in if they played for a long time in the NFL.
Matt Ryan he had a lot of years with the Falcons, and he was considered one of the better quarterbacks.
Yeah, I agree. That don't mean he's a Hall of Famer.
No. I wouldn't vote for him. Right. But I don't think he's so far away where I wouldn't listen to an argument to be made. What I just said, had they won that Super Bowl game against New England, odds are he would get in at some point.
No. I don't think so. Maybe by the Veterans Committee down the road. I don't know.
Is Philip Rivers a Hall of Famer, Mac?
I don't think so. I think he's borderline.
You don't think so because they didn't get to a Super Bowl, you're saying.
Correct.
Dan Marino, they never won a Super Bowl. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Different records set for his time.
I mean, obviously Dan Marino is. I'm just being a little.
Yeah. I mean, you can't put Matty Ice or whoever else you mentioned in the Hall of, not even a conversation with Dan Marino. So that's a level.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about boxing. Ryan Garcia upsets Haney. Haney took a lot of hard punches. Jack knocked down 3 times, hung in there. Give him credit for that. Better fight than people thought, Jack. A lot of people thought this wasn't going to be a good fight at all. The PPV sign up was very slow. They were even talked that they wouldn't sell at Buckley Hall. I don't know if they did or not. Not only was it a good fight, but the person they thought would win didn't win, Jack.
It turned out to be an electric fight. It fooled me.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go to it. I was out of town, Florida. I was in New York before the fight, and I could have gotten press credentials, something about it. I didn't think it was going to come off for a while. Yeah. Then they weren't even announcing the undercard. Tickets were going slow. Even the day of the fight, someone in the business called me and said they have a ringside seat for me if I want to go, and I just didn't want to go. For some crazy reason, I wasn't into it. All the hype, all the trash talk. I was sick of both fighters, the conduct going on. I was sick of Bill Haney, the father who manages and trains Devin Haney. I was sick of Devin Haney as the personality of the Haneys. I couldn't stand. and Garcia seemed off the rails. I thought Haney was going to win a wide decision, a clear decision. And Garcia surprised us. He showed up, had the bigger rounds, hurt Haney a number of times. Haney's chin now is a little bit suspect. Give Haney, like you said, Matt, give Haney a lot of credit. He hung in there. He grinded. He may have had a broken jaw in this fight. We're not sure yet. It hasn't come out, but the way it looked. And he hung in. I mean, big credit to Devin Haney for making it a close fight. Actually, when it was a majority decision. 2 judges voted for Garcia. 1 had it even. And, you know, Haney made it close despite all the adversity he was going through in that fight. And it was an entertaining fight as well. And credit to Garcia, who totally fooled the odds. But a lot of people are upset with Garcia because he came in 3.5 pounds overweight. Like I was telling Frank Laterzo on Gloved Fist, 3.5 pounds isn't outrageously over the weight limit. It's decisively to a degree. But what it indicates to us is Garcia intended to make the weight, was trying to make the weight, but at the very end, maybe the last couple of days before he had to weigh in, he figured, nah, I'm not going to, strain and push myself till the very end. I'd rather pay the fine, pay some money over to Haney to allow it to go through and come into the ring strong. But reportedly, Garcia bet $2 million on himself at 6-1 odds and collected $12 million that way. So he made up a couple of extra million or whatever he had to pay Haney with a ton of interest.
Yes.
And listen, Ryan Garcia can't have it both ways, Mac, I don't think. You can't call Haney a whiner, sore loser. Not that Haney's complained yet, the Haneys, to their credit. They haven't complained to this point, but other people have. They said Garcia didn't make weight, so he came in extra strong while Devin Haney weakened himself on the weight. And so Garcia, if you want to take credit, I'm much stronger now, this and that, well, your opponent maybe weakened himself a little bit. And then say, well, when I lost to Tank Davis, it was because I was straining to make the weight.
Yeah.
Somehow there's a conflict in the statements between the two.
So tomorrow's our draft show, folks. We got some live reports coming from the Philly sports guy who's already in Detroit, already sending videos out. So be sure to join us tomorrow, starting at 6 p.m. all through the first round of the picks. We'll have a lot of hosts there. Hopefully some big guests for you, former NFL players who have made the show before. This is our 3rd annual watch along. I mean, we're all going to be watching the draft. Why not join in and say what you think of the drafts and what do you think of your picks and your team and what this pick does for your team. It should be very interesting. Quarterbacks supposedly going to first 3 picks. And, we'll see. We got a big lineup. We got a lot of different shows on Roku that will be going this year. Last year it was just us. But we'll have different points of view. The Frozen Tundra Network, Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears will be leading off. And, of course, Caleb Williams expected to be taken in the first round. So, folks, tonight, the Northeast Professional Streaming Sports Show will be on 6 p.m. Join us if you can. Right after this, Coffee and Sports here on the Roku channel. Stick with us all day, every day for sports all the time. Thanks for joining us today. Rick, good to see you again. Jack, thanks for making it in and bringing your crazy opinions about Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth and what we do with it. I don't know what that had to do with anything. But anyway, we made it through. It's Wednesday. We'll see you tonight on the draft show tomorrow. We'll all be there. Come join us. Have a great day, folks.